We got to make a couple updates to the board here. We finally have finished off our first row of stuff. And you may have noticed that the Blue Dream build is no longer listed. It has not sold. I actually took it down. And even after lowering the price, I'm like, if it's still up at this certain time, I just have too many ideas to kind of swap it out. We're not going to dissolve it. We're just going to put a different board in there and use the Falcon for something else. But for now, we need to erase this one, and we can put the Plymouth Voyager one here that has sold, and the Eyeball one has sold as well. I actually haven't filled that out at all. Oh boy. Well, it's probably time to clean stuff today. Alright, well, I didn't quite get all the way done, but I did do the trash, dishes, laundry, vacuum the whole house, rearrange some furniture, clean off all of the surfaces that I have been leaving stuff everywhere. And the lady just went back to work after a little vacation, so I'd rather clean all that stuff for when she gets home. But anyway, I had to bring all this stuff up here. I got DVD drives at least. As I was bringing stuff up here, we got water-cooled stuff, all the shells. When I get time, I'll go through all of the shell components, get that cleaned up, and really get this ready to clean everything out from here and rearrange everything. But over here, we have bezels and hard drive stuff here. This is my DVD drive testing Red Ring of Death one here, but we've got two cables right here, so I don't have to keep taking this apart. And I will put this all the way together at some point. And I can just plug in DVD drives and test them out here. And then obviously this is old TV, I can test out the older systems as well. Finally, that brings us here to the heatsink stuff, which is what we're going to mess with today. So we've got a 360 Slim heatsink, a 1S heatsink. I'm not sure if we'll get that one to fit, and that's unfortunate. That's an original Xbox One heatsink. Probably won't mess with it. I'm sure it would need to be cut anyway, and this got heat pipes running all the way through it, so don't really want to do that. But here's our one that we have cut, and it's not the cleanest cut. It did it with a Dremel, but there is no burrs or anything. We got it all smoothed out, and we're going to test fit that, and we'll bring another good clean. That one's not very clean. We'll find another clean one. Let's make a mess. So this one here, you can see this capacitor would have to be moved, or this would have to be cut on the corner. You'd have to remove a couple fins here for these, and it sticks all the way to the back here over to those little capacitors as well. So this one would need a lot of cutting to fit, but I would be curious maybe one day to actually cut that and see how it would lay on the chip. That one is huge. Now the Slim, apparently somebody has done this where they put two of them on here. They said they had to cut the CPU side a little bit to fit. From what I can see, they probably had to cut all four sides for that to fit. Now the GPU side, I think, assuming this is obviously a junk board we're using just to test fit this, we already have this cut to fit the internal 200mm fan. I'm assuming the other board I have has the shorter capacitors over here, which I'm hoping, and I think, yeah, there you go. You have it in this orientation. Looks like it goes over that one, doesn't hit over here, doesn't hit anything on this side, so that's pretty cool. Obviously, it sticks out over here, and I think that would even interfere with the shorter block that we have cut. So let's try something else first real quick. So this is what I first envisioned. Our fan sits right here, but this is the only 200mm fan I have right now. I did get another thermal take one that's thicker. This one on the inside, which we need to move that real quick, there's still plenty of room between the fan and these heat sinks, and even the capacitors. So one, I got the thicker fan. We're also probably going to have a fan grill in there and whatnot. Then what you could also do is this fits this way, and we could also turn that one this way as well, and we can kind of pick our own airflow situation, because obviously the fans here, it's just going to blow on the entire board, and we can either block off certain sections, still have fans kind of sucking air out the back, maybe a couple small ones on the bottom so it's moving across, or vice versa. With this one in this orientation, I'm curious if the fins on the Slim heatsink are going to line up with those fins. Can't do it with one hand. Not quite. It would fit this way. It likes to fit in between the fins there, but this would have to be cut here so that this can slide as close to that as possible. That edge needs to be pretty much right up to here, and then it could fit, and that should be the only thing I'd have to trim to make that work in that orientation. Now, if I had a bandsaw, I would just try cutting a bunch of stuff, but that's why I don't really want to mess up this one. With a Dremel, cutting like the fins off is one thing, but then this part here would just be kind of a pain. We'll try that later on. For now, the ultimate plan, I guess, would be if I have another one of these, and we would just have to cut like fins on all sides for that to fit on the CPU side, and then especially on the two sides that meet in the middle. Circling back to the Blue Dream build, we're going to actually be using that motherboard. As I said, we'll put another one. This will be a lot cheaper, in the $100 to $200 range probably. Just a working unmodded system. But we're going to take the RGH3 Falcon that's out of here, that's already, you know, all digital, I guess, and that's the one we're going to test it on, because we can also check the temperatures. Here will be the first setup that we try, well, with this facing the right way. Got the Blue Dream build apart. We're going to take out our Talus Moon fans, both of these heat sinks, because I still think this is going to be too tall, but I guess we can leave this one in here at first just to see what happens. And is mounted internally. Just have the two side screws on there now, and you can see it does in fact fit above, get that light on, that heatsink. There's just enough space there, just that LED wire in the way. But yeah, just literally a few millimeters. Now this is technically not even 25 millimeters thick like a normal PC fan, like this one here. I think it's like 20, so it's just a little bit slimmer. But the one we were planning on getting was the 30 millimeter one, which would be a lot closer here, and then definitely couldn't use this one on the GPU. I think for now we're going to leave these two in here. Let's kind of put this together so that we can test it out and check out the temps. Also, this fan, I guess, could be mounted the other way around and be pulling air out, which would be drawing it in through the sides, which would probably be a little bit better. However, for ease of use and cleaning, I really wanted to have a filter over top of this, have like kind of magnetic corners or something where this could be slapped on, pulling air in, and you could just take it off and clean it. The other way around, I mean, the filter would kind of be useless to have on the exhausting air. I have a DVD drive cable that already is looped for the DVD drive, so it thinks it's there. It does happen to have a 5-volt UV LED, I just stuck it over here, but it does have a 3-pin connector on the 12-volt side, and a 3-pin connector on our fan. We obviously want it on 12 volts. Through the raindrop thing on there, you can see right through the system, and it is super light. We'll have to do like a weight comparison. I'm also going to be testing out this controller I grabbed at our local pawn shop for 20 bucks. I did clean it up quite a bit. There was some gunk on the front, but I don't know, everything seems to click okay. I haven't taken it apart yet, but we'll try it out. We'll try to get the temps as quickly as we can. But of course it's going to probably take a minute to boot first time. Got our flash drive in there. As soon as we can pull up Aurora. That's actually pretty dang good, huh? Sync that up. Alright, let's see. $42, $34, $34, $22. Alright, we'll let this sit for 5 minutes and then see what it's at. So it has only been 3, almost 4 minutes, and we're already at about 63 on processor, 51 graphics. I knew graphics would probably be okay, and keep in mind this is a Falcon. I think we're not going to do any game testing, we're just going to kind of let them sit here, and already not really a fan. So I think we will have to cut. First, I guess I should see if I have another 360 Slim heatsink. It has been quite a while since the last clip, at least on my side of the screen, Here's the roadblock we sort of hit. So I got this one cut up, and I've been using this board to test, which is just a broken Falcon board, but it has the shorter capacitors around here. And as you can see on the Slim and the Xbox One, they both have like a recessed area on some sides, and that's to fit over these aluminum capacitors because they have the same ones. So I didn't have to cut these two sides, they can just fit over this. Now on the Falcon, the other Falcon, that has these capacitors all the way around here, you would have to cut all of this off. And as you can see from this side, once I got down to here, I'm like, I'm just going to start bending some of these instead of cutting all of them off. Now it still has the slim standoffs there, so it's a little bit too tall, but it now fits perfectly around there. Fits over those and everything. So I think what I want to do, and I'm still waiting on the other heatsink, just like this one, and all we'll have to cut on that other one is like this. We'll cut all these off here. We'll have to do the same on this side because they stick out too far. Unless we can just kind of bend them and have each of them kind of intertwine with this one. That might be an option. I can't really do that setup though on the other one without cutting this even more. And in that case, here's the other issue. You can see it's barely taller than these capacitors, and those capacitors just create like a wall all the way around the heatsink. So the other option would be to cut one of these, and this is where we would have to do it, and it would still stick up taller than the capacitors a little bit by like maybe half an inch at most. It's a pretty good amount of the heatsink. Obviously this is the more important third. This is the least important third of the heatsink, but I'm worried doing all of that because this is a huge pain to cut all these out. I'm just worried then if that's even gonna still be enough, or obviously that's gonna be less cooling than the stock one quite a bit, but we'll have a lot more airflow, so is that going to make up for it? Is it worth doing all that just to have the same on the CPU? It has to be on a modded board because there's not going to be no disk drive unless we stick it on the outside somewhere. And all we have as of right now is the RGH3 Falcon, which is somewhere, and our zero fuse right here. And because the person that has my speaker that we were going to send this back to, and a couple other things, they're extremely busy right now. I think they just had a kid, so I'm trying not to bother them too much. I'm pretty sure I have a good lead on getting another zero fuse if I want to for the Kenobi build. Should mention we're going to hold off until we get this water-cooled one done. I only want to do one water-cooled one at a time. This one's obviously going to have the shorter aluminum capacitors all the way around there, so I think on this one we can do the fully internal fan with these two things here. Once again, it's been a little while. We've got our heatsink in. I also have my 200mm thermal take fan, exact one from the Eyeball 360. So, as we can see here, we shouldn't have to trim anything at all on the GPU side. So, this here, I did bend a tiny bit already, just to make sure it's not touching that. Other than that, you can see this stepped down part right here, or stepped up, I guess, is going to fit over that capacitor, just like these ones were meant to. Now, this side was the only place I was going to trim. However, you can see most of these middle ones here are already just about lined up to where they can just go in between those. There's a couple on the ends here. We'll just try and tweak a little bit, just bend them. And then this side, if we have to, we may have to cut just this last fin off of here, but I think we can just kind of squeeze those together. Here's what we've got. Just bent the ones all the way in the end, all the way to the side, even though I'll probably just snap those off. And we just had to bend a few, double up in a couple slots there, and that should be good. Line up right there. Boom. There's still a little wiggle room. It's not like super tight there or anything. They can slide around. First thing we're going to do, so that our first test isn't completely useless, is just swap this fan out for this one, which we need to do anyway. Test fit it on the back of this panel, since this is the one we're using. And we're just going to see the difference with the fan. So, we're in the process. We swapped our bolts over here. We're going to have to put an aluminum one on there, which is okay. we're more concerned about the CPU temperature. But while we're in here, I don't think I ever actually... Pretty sure I can read RIA. This one has... Ooh, HTG 130. That's the really good one, isn't it? That looks wild. And look at that. It's going to be a lot closer. Got the extra 10 millimeters. Double checked the specs on this guy. They're both around 800 RPM. This one is 76 and some change on the CFM. Although it is 18 decibels. I mean, it's pretty much silent. This guy here, obviously 10 millimeters thicker. It does have about 10 more points on noise level. It's at 28 decibels. So you can hear this one when it's on, but I mean, it's still pretty much silent. 800 RPM, 129, just under 130 CFM. So that is over 50 CFM more. Now, obviously, these kind of stats, you know, take with a grain of salt. But according to the packages, this thing should move quite a bit more air. Closer to double that one than not. I also have a new RF board in here that I'm just testing out. Oh. That sucks. Oh, well that works. Okay, well, that needs a new fan. Go. Alright, what are we starting at? 40, 39, 37, 22, 4 a.m. Again, we'll see if we can wait 5 minutes. Can definitely feel air coming out the back. Honestly, out the back is more than stock for sure. Plenty of air coming out the top, all these vents here. And if we ignore the sound of that fan, honestly, this is just as quiet as the other one. It does not sound 10 decibels higher. Alright, going on our second minute. And off the bat, the CPU is cooler than the GPU. We're just about where we were last time, almost at 4 minutes. And the graphics is now the one that is concerning. Now, it's obviously still in a fine temperature zone. Once it hits 70 and starts climbing up, that's the problem, which it looks like we might be about to hit here. But our CPU at this point would already have been at 65 and kept going up. And I mean, they are still steadily climbing. I think it's time to shut it off. This guy was a little bit naked, so we took the vents and stuff off the Falcon we were just doing, because we're going to have to take that apart again anyway. Same with the faceplate. Instead of putting a hard drive on top, because this is going to act like a normal Xbox, a zero fuse, it's just capable of running all those other programs, Aurora and stuff like that, without needing an RGH or JTAG mod. So anyway, I took the same hard drive that we had in the Falcon. No disk drive. It's got both copper heat sinks. It does have a factory fan tunnel and fans, and it does still have the metal shielding on the back side of this shell. Try to get the controller synced up as quickly as possible. Alright, synced up. There we go. So yeah, look at that, 53, but then 20, 18, and 12. Wow. Now this one's saying 12 p.m., so we'll be back at 12:05. See what happens. 5 minutes, just about 70, 44, 41, 17. That was actually saying like 12 for a while, or 15, somewhere around there, which is like 60 Fahrenheit, and it's not that cold in this room. We go ahead and load up a game, and we'll check it one more time. There it is, hit 70. Alright, let's shut her down and get ready for the grand finale. I'm going to go ahead and put those slim heat sinks in here and see what happens. And of course the fan on the side. All the spare parts back on the Falcon. We can see our Chronos. These look really good. There's our zero fuse. And I guess you probably can tell. But yeah, it's a standard CPU from Canada that hasn't had any E-fuses burned, as far as I know. They overestimated how many they needed, and yeah, there was a bunch left over, I guess. Got these guys completely cleaned up, completely dry. This is how they are going to slide in. We need to swap the these mounting points, or bolts. You can see the slight difference there in height where the X-clamp actually sits. The X-clamps on there, we're ready to slide this into the metal frame. I just wanted to go down, make sure it's not looking warped or bent at all. I think everything is good. It's a little while later. I'm a little nervous. Probably shouldn't have done this to the zero fuse to test, but oh, that damn power supply. That's so cool. Alright, as soon as it gets up here. Oh, no way. It definitely started in the 50s before, didn't it? Okay, it's already going up a little bit. Graphics. About a minute and a half later. It's definitely not rising as fast. We are at the point where we were before, where I was already a little concerned, where it was at like 65 and still rising, and obviously it's still rising. Just realized I didn't test it in the horizontal position in the first place. We're not going to take it back apart and put the old Heatsinks back on, but we will try this in the horizontal position before we're done here. 5-minute mark. Alright, what did we load up before? Was it this guy? Back to the dash. Let's check our final temp, do a little comparison. .3, 36.8, 33.2, 15.5. Alright, the horizontal position. I thought it would help the CPU more, but it's pretty much staying the same. But, I mean, it seems like pretty much a success. That's pretty cool. It's definitely helping at least a little bit. Very excited for this build. We will show you the fan grill. So it actually does glow a little bit with the blue already, but we're going to swap the LEDs out in the fan for UV. We're going to have lots of like fluorescent green, UV reactive, glow in the dark, all kinds of stuff, mostly blacked out on the outside, so very excited for this one. And I do want this to be on the inside, I think. It'd probably be easier to have a nice flat surface on the top, and I still need to figure out the magnet system. I was thinking stronger magnets on the inside so you don't see them, and either just on the corners. It'll just kind of hold itself in place. Well, actually, you can see right through that a lot better than I thought you would. I feel like that would over time end up scratching the paint, so it'd probably be best to actually have a strip just around the outside, make it look nice and clean, and that way this just slaps right on there. That's it for this video. I'm glad this worked out. Let me know what you guys think. Please do not forget to not like, comment, or subscribe, and stay tuned in the next video. We're going to talk about the membership that we have going on.